Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's episode of our TV talk show series, Arize Conversations. I am the host and producer of the show, Her Royal Highness Princess Moradium Adedun Shulari. And as you know, Arize Conversations, what we're doing, this is our 10th episode, by the way, so it's a 13-week episode, which means a quarter of the, that's a television quarter. And what we're doing is we are examining a particular theme, which is the Yoruba belief system, a journey to understanding. There's a lot about our belief system as Yorubas, even as Africans, that either we don't know or we have, through the influence of foreigners and the invaders, we have thrown everything away, the baby, the bathtub, and the water. But it's about time we re-examine who we are, our backgrounds, our origin, where we're from. How did our forefathers and our ancestors, how did they carry on? How did they manage their lives? What principles did they follow? And the high values and ethics that they had back in those days before the invasion. Because before slavery, before invasion, before foreign influence, there were ways that we carried out our affairs to the letter according to what Oludumare, the creator and owner of all, gave to our ancestors. And they followed it to the letter, and they had no problems. They lived in peace and harmony. Nobody stole from anybody. Nobody killed anybody until we had those negative influences. It's okay to embrace other cultures or other traditions, but sometimes you need to look at it very curiously. Does it go well with me? Does it sit well with me? Are they talking about people that are my own ancestors? Do they look like me? Do they have my color? Are they from the same kind of background I'm coming from? Because your DNA is your DNA. You can't change your DNA. So we of this particular color, we have our own peculiar DNA, just like all other races have theirs, according to how the Almighty has created them. Anyway, let me stop my rambling. I'm going to warmly welcome you all. I want to welcome all our usual guests, our top fan, Omolara. I hope you're there with us. Gladys, Angelique, Princess Toyi, the list goes on. So our Uluyi himself, Kuliola Shoju, Ayon the First, so many people that follow us very keenly. And I know we have some very silent followers as well. I see that you watch, and I'm hoping that you're taking on board great nuggets to help you improve your life. And if nothing else, but for you to at least be more knowledgeable about who you are and why you're here on planet Earth. My special guest, as you know, every week has been, and it is again today, Honorable Dr. Iyanifa Bola Ogundari Eliagu. Dr. Ogundari Eliagu is a qualified barrister. So she's a lawyer and a QC, Queen's Counsel, trained in the UK. She was born here, raised here, but she's of Yoruba descent. And she's an Ifa initiate. She's a high priestess of the Ifa way of life. She is so many things, a seer, a diviner, a spiritualist. She's also medically trained, so she is a herbal clinician. She had to go back to university to study that in her area and giftings of healing. She's an advocate of women's rights, children's rights. She's a very well sought after public speaker and social commentator. Above all, she is a child of the universe, a daughter of Oludumare, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a great sister to know, and a dear friend. And of course, I cannot but always acknowledge and say huge thank you to my baby sister, who's always on hand to help us manage all the technical things in the background, those things that you don't see. And she helps us put everything in place, herself and our young man, Isaiah. That's Veronica Olabisi Obadara, the CEO of VOO, and also the brains behind the beautiful product that we use for our skin to make us glow and make the melanin pop. Nature Faithful. She uses all natural products. So without much ado, I'm going to allow her to bring on our guest for today. Again, Yanifa herself. Aboruboyo. So beautiful to see you. Oh my goodness. I nearly called the popo. Let's go and start a search party. We all missed you last week.
For the popo yummy. I'm so sorry.
So good to see you. You're very, very welcome.
Thank you,
before we start anything, I'm going to hand over to you as we do. One Kashi Batishe, Kolibari, Bitiri. So I'll hand over to you so that you can do a worry. For those who are joining us for the first time and don't understand when we say worry, it's our own way of prayer, of saying good things, speaking good words into our lives and into what it is that we're about to do tonight. So no better person to set off the scene than Yanifa herself. Over to you, Ma.
Okay, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. Once again, sorry that I've kind of come in late. Sorry, I'm just trying to. I should have done this before. Pour some water.
I have water.
Yeah, because I think that it's. Thank you, Yami. You're always one step ahead.
I'm a good student.
I know you are very good students now. But anyway, I'm actually going to work from the bottle today. So
okay,
you can see the water.
Okay.
So yeah, as normal. Ìbà Elédùmarè. Ìbà Ṣẹ̀dá. Ìbà Èṣù Ọláàlú. Ẹlẹ́gbà aléṣòkòtò péńpé sórí ẹjọ́ ẹlẹ́jọ́. Ìwọ lè ní jẹ́ lónìí jẹ́ kẹ́ni tí òjò gbé mi. Èṣù má ṣe wọ́n ọmọ ẹlòmíràn ní kò ṣe o. Ìbà Afá olókun àtọ̀ọ̀dá ẹlẹ́rìn ìpè àtòyàn tó ìfihàn fún. Ìbà ẹ̀yìn ìyá mi òfin lọ́pàá tí ọ̀là tí alágogo di arógbá aṣọ má balẹ̀. Ajẹ́kùn jẹ̀rọ̀ òru má jẹ́ tọmọ mọ́. Ìbà yìí mo ṣe bá Ọ̀ṣun ọ̀ṣẹ̀ǹgẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ìyá mi ládé kojú ẹbọra tí ń gbé ní omi. Ore yèyé o. Mo ṣe bá yé mọ́já yé mọ́tàṣà ìyá mi gbàlùbọ́sà kò fi rọ̀fọ́ iye mọ́já yé. Mo ṣe bá ọ̀ṣà ńlá ọ̀ṣẹ̀rẹ̀ màgbò bàbá mi tó sùn nú ẹ̀là tó jí nú ẹ̀là funfun gbòlà mo ṣe bá o. Mo ṣe bùkún lákàáyé olómi lẹ́fẹ̀ẹ́jẹ ènìyàn wẹlẹ̀ ńláṣán lẹ́fìmọ̀kímọ̀ bóra. Ògún yè láyé o, Ògún má ṣe jẹ́ àríjà o. Má ṣe fẹ̀jẹ̀ wa parọ́ sí títì tọmọtọmọ tẹbí tará tó fẹ́ wá sí rere. Mo ṣe bá gbogbo gbagbarúmọ lójú kọ̀tún, mo ṣe bá gbogbo gbagbarúmọ lójú kòsì. Mo ṣe bá bàbá mi, mo ṣe bá yèyé. Mo ṣe bá ọkùnrin, mo ṣe bá obìnrin, mo ṣe bá oṣó, mo ṣe bàjẹ́. Mo ṣe bá àwọn akímọró tẹ kọ́kọ́ tẹfá sórí pátákó fákin tó tẹfá. Mo ṣe bá gbogbo àwọn àgbààgbà mi tán tẹ̀mí nífá tó kọ́ mi nífá tó ní ifá ẹni kì í hun ni. Mo ṣe bá yín o, ọba obìnrin, kábíyèsí, HRH Princess Moradeun, mo ṣe bá yín. Mo ṣe bá bàbá yín, mo ṣe bá yèyé yín. Mo ṣe bá egúngún lé bàbá yín, egúngún lé ìyá yín. Mo ṣe bá ọmọdé, mo ṣe bá àgbàlagbà. Mo ṣe bá onílé, mo ṣe bá àlejò. Wọ́n ní tọmọdé bá júbà àròkọ dalẹ̀ dandan ni. Ǹjẹ́ àwa ti wá júbà báyìí kẹ́ jẹ́ kí bá wa kó wá ṣe. Àìṣèbà kí ń hun ní ìbà kí ń hun ọmọ. Nítorí pé ọkọ́ kì í hunlẹ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ làdá kì í lọ sóko kó má rí tiẹ̀ ṣe. Ǹjẹ́ àwa ti wá júbà lẹ́nu báyìí má ṣe jẹ́ adẹrùn àmúso. Gbogbo ìta wá ṣe lẹ́nu báyìí ẹ̀yin alálẹ̀ wọ́n ní ìbọkúbọ lọmọdé ń bọ bórí kòtò. Ìgbàkúgbà lè ṣọ̀dà ara ń gbà. Ẹ̀yin tó láyé àmọ̀ṣe ẹ bá wa gbà. Àwa àmọ̀ṣe tó ẹ bá wa gbà. Gbogbo ìta wílé ní báyìí kárọ̀ kó rọ̀ mọ́ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ kó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ o.
Àwíṣe àfọ̀gbọ́n ẹ kú òun ẹ káàbọ̀ ẹ kú ètò. Welcome once again. Thank you so much for always enabling us to set the pace in such a beautiful way. I feel energized and ready to go. Today, it's a little bit of a continuation of some of the conversations that we've had, but also from questions that have also been asked by some of our viewers. So the first question is, acquiring education, as in academics and knowledge in any field of study is very key in the world that we live in. But how does that relate to the study of Ifa, which is exceptionally vast? How do yourself and other Ifa initiates, the Babalawos, how do you cram, oh my goodness, over 5,000 verses?
5,000K. That's in one or
No, as in at a go, because
I understand.
At a go.
Yeah. In terms of the enormity,
yes,
I'll come to that in a minute, Yami. Today I was reading something. One of my elders that a lot of people know in the Ifa sector, and he's well respected. His name is Agbola Wodiron. He comes from a long lineage of Ifa, and he had posted, I think it was yesterday, that for Osefa yesterday, because yesterday was Osefa, that basically when he quit office work 1985, all his friends laughed at him like, this guy's a lunatic, why would you do that? But now they refer to him as the Oba that Ifa has made him. So first and foremost, I don't think, or I haven't come across anybody, I'm not saying there are not people who are just willingly go, I want to learn Ifa, but I'm yet to meet somebody who hasn't been dragged through the space of life to have to be reawoken to be where they're supposed to be.
And that's the key word there is reawoken.
Yes, reawoken. Yes. So that first and foremost. Secondly, Ifa is so vast. That is why in Ifa we're taught in so many stanzas that Ifa akotiti dojota woba shosuni.
Can you please? I have some of my friends from Trinidad and Tobago. I see you, my brother Doronte. Guadalupe, welcome.
My people. All right. So I greet you all. So what I was saying is that Ifa learning is about until the day that an hour journeys on. So they move from this cycle to the next portal. Because you will go, there's an hour that you can have that will have, I don't know, 500,000 verses. Say, they're so good in their head, off by heart. I'm not there yet. But they will go into the village somewhere remote that's hardly been heard of, and then they will hear one Baba that will quote, or an Iya that will quote a verse, a stanza that they've never heard before. So that's why Ifa says our journey as Ifa devotees and practitioners is a lifelong journey until we journey on.
Absolutely.
So it never stops. Every day, a practitioner, a devotee must seek to learn more, because the day that we wake up and we fail to learn is the day we fail to live.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. But like I said, it is, I used to think of education as being really, really important. When I was reawoken, I used to look at people in a lot of places that I went to when their children would tell me that, mi ò kàwé, bàbá mi, ìyá mi, wọ́n sọ pé Ifá ló kọ́kọ́ ṣe kọ́kọ́ kí n kọ́kọ́ kọ́fá náà kí n tó lọ kàwé. And I think that's a bit of a primitive idea. But looking back, I can say I'm a bit of a hypocrite now, because I have a 4-year-old, which she has education, which is important, but a lot of her so-called education is Ifa. That's the first and foremost for her every day. And why have I chosen to do that? Because I've gotten to this age, this merit, and realized I've got this education or this certification, but whose education?
Whose education?
Yes, whose education? So do I, àwọn baba ńlá baba wa, they never needed a piece of paper to certify them that àwọn mọ nǹkan báyìí, or that they know certain things. But when you learn Ifa, even few stanzas, like 3, 4, 5, it's harder than any degree. I assure you. If you want to challenge me, come and learn. Let's learn together. But your brain will almost flow. When I studied law, I felt like law, oh my God, oh my God, like you'll be reading journals 2,000 pages long, things like that, and you'll be thinking, you have to write this essay 20,000 page, and you think, where do I even start? My brain is hurting, But when you go into Ifa, you realize that all these degrees, all these things that are given to you. Ifa has a perspective on everything. None of it can exist without Ifa, number one. Number two, Ifa is harder than any degree, any PhD, any masters. I challenge anybody. Let's go. Let's have a challenge. That you will feel like your brain is literally going to drop out of your head. But the beauty of Ifa is that when you are learning Ifa and you're dedicated and you're doing it for the right reasons, it gives you a peace that I can't describe. Wow. It gives you a balance that as you learn each stanza, you come feeling like, if I really understood that though. You see life. Every stanza you recite, every stanza that you learn, every Odu you learn, you come away with a kind of peace that lets you understand this portal in a different way that not everybody can see. And my father always used to tell me that ẹni tó bá ń dáfá, ẹni tó ń kọ́fá tó ń dáfá, tí ò bá kọ́gbọ́n nídìífá kò lè kọ́gbọ́n mọ́ tílé ayé àfipá. And I used to think, what's he talking about? No. But basically, that's just to say, my father used to say that whoever is an Ifa devotee or practitioner, and you are a diviner, and because you'll get all kinds of people coming to you, that you don't learn the core lessons of life. You don't start to see life on a different opening that you can't even put into words to explain to someone else. You will never learn until the world is over. So,
wow.
Ifa is vast. There's still so much that every day I'm learning. And one thing that I learned from my dad that I'm grateful for is that as a teacher, every time you teach, you are also learning. Not only are you learning more in terms of Ifa, but you're learning more about yourself, your capabilities, the things that you never thought you could do. And there's been a big conversation at the moment since our Odun fast that we've done, the global ones, both Ile-Ife and Ekiti, that what is Ifa? We talk about what is Ifa, and I have a book that I'm writing, and hopefully it'll be out soon. I know some people that know me like raised eyebrows. The Ifa should have been out ages ago, but anyway, in terms of what Ifa is, and like in the words of her remarkable Sophie, Professor Sophie.
Yes. We love Professor Sophie.
Yes, may Ifa continue to feed her a may she continue
she's one of our amazing ancestors. Oh my word.
She's wonderful. In her words, and also in the words of my father and my mentor, that Ifa is not religion, but within it contains religion. If it's not maths, but within it contains maths. Wow. Now, Ifa is so varied that even as a practitioner or a devotee, you have to understand from your Odufa and your life, which is your path. It's not possible for you to say, I'm going to take the religion, I'll take the philosophical, I'll take the medicinal. To each one is assigned a different task.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's so important to know, well, what is my task? What is the task that I have been assigned? Because my task is going to be different to yours.
Absolutely.
And and I find that a lot of people go wrong by just not knowing where they belong. As the interesting topic that we'll be speaking about tonight. The person, and I say the person, or shall I say the energy, the entity, the deity for me that is related to the reason why I am an Onishashi today and will continue to be so. And if I come into this plane again, why I will continue to be an Onishashi, to the point that I've asked Ele to marry. If I have to come back here because, I didn't finish my goals on my lifeline, if you're not going to send me as an Onifa, don't send me again. So yeah.
But again, when we go back to Ayomo, which is one's destiny, is it not us? We can't see your face.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. It's like my charger came out. Sorry.
Okay. So is it not us? Is it not us that actually chooses? So you're wanting to come again, it's still up to you to choose.
That is
Because
true.
we
But
know that
if we
Olodumare
don't,
does not force anything on us.
yeah, sure, Yami. But if you come here and you have a set of, if you look at it, a set of tasks or missions, and you don't complete it, there's the possibility that you'll be back, and that's outside of your hands. It's like going into a forest and you're there to learn certain lessons. If you don't learn them, you'll keep going back to the forest until you do.
Like
So
repeating a
it's pretty
class.
much like that. Sorry, say that again, Ma.
I said like us repeating a class.
Mm-hmm.
We keep going back.
Exactly. If you do an exam, you don't pass, you fail, you repeat. So yeah.
Absolutely. Before I go quickly, thank you so much for that brief explanation. I want
Yes,
to
ma'am.
acknowledge you have so many fans and followers and people who just love, our show and the way we've made it very simple for people to
And I'm grateful to
understand.
them all. I'm grateful to
Yes, so
everybody.
I want to acknowledge our top fan, your beloved sister Omolara Kufeji, who's joined us again as always. She never fails. Of course, Alagbakunle Olashoju is here, Oluwo
Yes.
himself.
Oluwa Sakweola, I greet
Yes,
you.
so
I greet
we
Sister
also
Molara.
have my beloved cousin Obafi Kemi Luther. She's also here with us.
My 5 and 6.
I'd like to acknowledge Gloria, our dear sister Gloria Ogumbadijo, here again, and
Thank you.
also Anemum Irewolide, one of our amazing followers. Oluwatoyin Oshinoiki, Aboru Boy. Wọ́n kí yín o pé
Àwọn Yorùbá
Aboru Boy.
ṣiṣẹ́ o, Ogbó àtọ, Ìyá Alájẹ, Fádìwúrà,
And of
Ogbó
course,
àtọ.
oh, my sister that I'm still going to find her for spending time with you without me.
Exactly.
Sister Toxie
It's not
herself,
my fault,
glorious
though. She's
Toxie.
the one that will pay the fine, not Bobiri. She will pay the fine.
We're so grateful for everybody and all those who I can see, but obviously they're not online. Oh, my beloved friend. This is a gentleman I've known maybe since 2006, when I started my talk show in the UK. He's from the Caribbean. He's
Oh,
Trinidadian. He's from
okay.
Trinidad. His name is Daronte Guadalupe, an
Oh,
amazing friend, an awesome friend of mine. He's actually an ace haute couturist, so he's probably one of the best out of the Caribbean.
wow.
And he specializes.
Yeah, me, sorry to cut you. I would like to find out where he's from. Is he from Shaguenas, Arima?
Durante, can you type where you're from exactly? Yeah, because his
Please.
question is, I so want. He said, I so want to understand Ifa.
Yeah,
I
sure.
so want to understand Ifa. So, please, Durante, I can see you. Blessings to you, darling. Yanifa wants to know which part of the island you're from. What part of Trini are you from? Okay, so let us know. So basically, where's the Yanifa? Where are you? Hello, studio. Whilst we're waiting, Yanifa joins us from Nigeria, so sometimes we have a bit of glitch when it comes to electricity, connectivity. So bear with us, but I'm sure she'll be back with us in a few minutes. So Yanifa has helped us to understand that when we go to school, as in go to proper, what we call Western education, we go and get um, academics, in gear, if I can put it that way. So learning the ABC, XYZ, the 1, 2, 3s, etc. We find it so challenging sometimes. Even those who are academically brilliant, they still find it a bit challenging because you've got to put in the time, the effort. You've got to study, do your research, etc. From a very young age, from nursery to primary to secondary, college, university, etc. When you now compare that, in fact, it's incomparable to Ifa, because Ifa, for those who are just joining us, Ifa is not a Yoruba word. Okay, Yanifa is not. Ifa is not a Yoruba word. It's an acronym given to our way of life by the foreigners. Because when they came and they saw how we were operating, that means our ancestors, they couldn't find any word in English to translate Isheshe. Isheshe in our own Yoruba language means our own way of life, our indigenous way of life. So it's not a religion, it's not a faith, it is our way of life. In other words, how we live every day according to what the Creator gave to our ancestors. And it paid us very well until we had, we're not saying that we were perfect, but we had things in place and we followed a particular way of doing things. So when you want to compare Western, academics to Ifa, it's too vast, because Ifa contains everything, and Ifa again means indigenous faith of Africans. So for some people who probably didn't understand, probably thought IFA was a Yoruba word. No. An African word. No. Our word for our way of life in Yoruba nation is Isheshe. Other tribes have their own language and what word they call it. But the invaders didn't find any word to translate Isheshe, because what they saw blew their mind. So how can you translate what you don't have a word for? And therefore they had to coin those 3 letters for the acronym IFA, which really means Indigenous Faith of Africans. So there you know. And I'm going to shut my mouth and hand over back to Iyanifa again. Iyanifa, we have to fight Nepal. We can't just allow you to be disappearing on us like that. You're welcome back. I said we're going to find Nepal.
You need to find Nepal and find Nigeria, federal government of Nigeria. We'll get on to that.
Okay. So what we were trying to find out is, you were talking about the energy that you really love and you operate under. And you said that when you're coming back, you would ask the Creator to still put you in that way of life and amongst your people, the Yoruba.
Over and over again. I mean, it really resonates with me, because I remember the week before, you were saying that we were talking about childbirth and working with gravity as opposed to working against gravity, how we're taught. And you were saying, what happens to those of us that didn't know and stuff like that? Like, Ifa is so vast that I can't even, like, I try to put it into words, but I'm even scared to get it wrong, because
so like you don't make the boo-boo that Bishop Ajayi Crowther made.
Me, I won't make that boo-boo. I cannot. But I'm just saying that the way that Ifa is so magnificent, people often say to me, what is your pride based on? Like, I'm not a proud person, but like, what is my confidence? Let me put it on based on. And my confidence is based on Ifa. My confidence is knowing that Isheshe, Lami Boka Wato Borisha, Isheshe works. Isheshe is real, and it's not somebody coming to tell me, okay, read these texts and then it works, but my own personal experience. And one of the deities that, we're going to be talking about today, in terms of my own personal experience, which I refuse to give up, which no one can come and tell me doesn't exist. Because I always ask people, they're like, this person said, that person said. How do you deny yourself when it's not somebody that's telling you this is who you are, this is where you at, but you know it, you feel it, it's happening like a sacred science that it is? How do you tell yourself that, okay, Otami is going crazy, it's not happening? How do you tell yourself that if you had that much imagination and it's of yourself, I mean, you'll be bigger than Disney.
I like that.
So, it's that thing, that realization that we have something that is so key that we don't understand. Like I always say, from the herbs to the key lineage of, materials, sand, wind, water, sun, everything is so relevant. Last week I was talking to one of my Omawos, and he said to me, yeah, I want to throw this thing away. Like, he just came to me. And I said to him, kò sí nǹkan tó waste nílé babaláwo. Everything is significant. And he looked at me, was like, this is dirt. And I was like, it's not dirt. You look at it as dirt because you don't know the real name for it. You know, our people, when I look at my grandfather, they used to say things like, Akin moruko tilekun je ko ti money. Then I was so young. I was like, what the? Akin moruko tilekun je ko ti money. We do not know the name of the door, and it will lock on us. Because even some of the words we use now, ilekun, things like that, that's not the ancient word for it.
What is the ancient word?
Okay. So when you look at the Odu Erindilogun, so the 16 major Odus, whether from, I'm talking about the Cowries and Ifa, for the simple reason of the deity that we're going to be talking about, and it will all become heir apparent soon. So when we look at 16 Erindilogun, when we look at the number 16, which is Erindilogun,
yes, ma'am,
we have doors that is inside a door, and every single door has a name. And when we look at it, I've been looking into things like, different things without jumping. It's like when people are talking about tattoos now, let me get a tattoo, this, that. Àwọn yala yawa, they've been doing tattoos that marked, that signified where they came from for times immemorial because of war. So when you see a certain tattoo or tribal mark, you know that Ibi by Lesiwa.
This is where we have loads of non-Yoruba speakers. Sorry, ma.
Okay, all right. So let me just speak in English. So we would, like, as we have tattoos nowadays, we've had tattoos since ancient times. And when we look at tattoos back in the days, because of war and spoils of war, people got lost. It was needed to recognize that this person, where are they from when you come across them? So they would have the tattoos and they would do it with arrow, which is the indigo
dye, the indigo dye,
which is the indigo, and we have a plant that that is that arrow. So they would use it to tattoo it, and it would come up green. But when you see the certain markings, you will know this is this person's from Ibadan, this person is from this place, this person from that place. So this person's from Egba. You would understand, and it helped people to relocate family members, children that had been displaced as a result of war, to put them back with their rightful families.
Absolutely. And we can also see from ancient times other indigenous people, that also had tattoos for similar reasons, across the world, where we know that it's not from these modern day, tattoo parlors. This has been something that, each indigenous tribe's ancestors have passed down to them. So that's also something that's very good to know. Now, I just wanted to let our viewers know and our followers know that once we finish this 13-week episode, Iyanifa has a school, an academy, and she has a temple here in the UK called Ifadiwura Temple. And we're going to start rolling out our master classes so we can do it online. For those who are not in the UK, for those who are in the UK, we might have intimate ones at the temple. But for the vast majority of people across the world, we'll be having, various syllabuses put into master classes, and we'll be rolling those out online so people can register, pay a token fee because we need to, pay for admin and all the things that we're going to be putting together. So don't worry if you, especially my brother like Durante, who wants to know a bit more or a lot more about Ifa.
Sorry, ma'am. Did Durante say where he's from? Sorry,
Durante, I have to scroll. Maybe Olabisi would be able to find it.
Okay, no problem. I'll find out later. I'm just
I'll ask him exactly where, because I know we have friends, yes, in Trinidad and Tobago who are very much into Isheshe. So, but we also know that most of them are from Yoruba nation anyway.
Of course, we're aware of this. And that's why I always reconnect. I have a big family in terms of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
So it's a big passion of mine, and it's somewhere where they've been asking me to come forever. But I'm taking you on the plane, otherwise I'm not going. So yeah.
We'll be all well going. Our Caribbean brothers and sisters can't wait to have us. So we're all definitely going to be there. And it's going to be, one big trip, because the motherland would never lose any of her children, no matter how long, no matter how long the separation has been. The mother would always find her child, and the child would always gravitate towards its mother. So that's the story between us and our diaspora brothers and sisters.
And that is also a story in Oshumari, which will come on to on another show.
Okay. So Oshumari is Oshumari one of the Omales?
So Oshumari is a rainbow serpent. Is an Orisha, a rainbow serpent. And Oshumari, I think I've mentioned it briefly on some of our show, is I was taught by Oshumari herself. A lot of people like to challenge me, like, yeah, how can you say an Orisha taught you? Your experience is yours and mine is mine. That's why it's spirituality and not religion. So she has taught me that she is that Omoni Iwo, the umbilical cord between the mother and the child, the very bond, the essence. So I have a page, which I've been working on, not very well, pardon me, called Iwure Abiamo on Facebook. So each week,
like that's the prayer of the mother.
Yes. So it's Iwure Abiamo. It's even more so.
For want of
the kneeling mother, the standing mother, the crying mother. I mean, there's so many essences to it, but when you go on the page, you'll see it.
Okay.
And each week we have different essences, because let's be realistic. A lot of people going through things with their children that they cannot even talk to anybody about. They have the closest friends, but you cannot, because in your mental madam,
you don't know who's going to fall your hand. You don't know
who's going to betray you and who's going to hold your hand through it. So there are things that sometimes, as a mother, as a father, as a parent, that is not even shame, but you feel so, how am I even here? What is happening? So Iwure Abiamo, what the platform does is that it gives you a different stanza of Ifa every week. It deals with a particular issue. Let's be realistic to ourselves. Like, quite often I hear people say, I'm like, this is the reality of the life we live in. We will have children, or our children, that will take illicit drugs. And when I say illicit drugs, hemp as a plant is different to what is happening now in nowadays. But
absolutely,
again, sorry to jump, Yami, but it's very important. You will have people that their children are going through incarceration, different things, that they cannot divulge that to anybody. But there is a way to hold yourself through. So the Iwures that we do on Iwure Abiamo is not just as a parent, knowing when you have done your best, not letting society guilt trip you. But how do you move to the next level that you can offer Iwure for that child? That you can get that child out of that situation and let that child understand the impact of what has happened, not just on them, but on you, the community as a whole, and society as large. We talk about difficult topics that people don't want to deal with. You know, some people will say, okay, so you're talking about somebody's child who's 20 years old. Your child is 14.
Can we explain to our viewers?
Okay, so I'm trying to put that into English. So a lot of times people will judge each other. They'll be like, oh, so your child takes weed. Your child is selling
drugs.
Your child is into gangs. But the person's child that's speaking to you is 21, 22, 23, 24. Your child is 10. Do you even know
the
destiny of your child? Do you even know the path of your child? Do you know if your child's enemy is going to become a mass murderer? Instead of holding each other up through the one man, we cast each other down. And that needs to stop.
Absolutely.
So yeah, sorry, I
No,
didn't mean to.
you had to share that. It was so necessary because we
Yeah.
have a lot of mothers and fathers on the
Mm.
platform that are watching with us,
Yes.
and that's the beauty that I see from how our ancestors run their lives, how they
Yeah.
how
Exactly.
they carried on with their lives and run their affairs.
Mm.
It's not a joke, and it's no longer a cliche when we say it takes two people to have a child, but it takes
Yes.
a whole village,
Village.
a whole
Yes. To
tribe
raise that
to
child.
raise that child.
Yami.
Back in the
And the
days,
thing is, sorry to cut you, Yami. There's been a lot, in the diaspora in the UK where we all live. I know that we have various people from all over the world. It happens in Jamaica. It's been happening in Trinidad. Human devastation, killing of our children, our young people. We don't understand that when we stand against each other, we allow that havoc,
we
which is
create the
another
cracks
thing.
in the wall,
We just allow the havoc. We open that, not ilekun. We open the
the portal,
eridilogun,
the portal.
which is a key for all the craziness to come in. But when we combine and we say enough is enough, we shut it down, we shoot it back, and we rescue our children.
Children. That's so
And
important.
someone once said to me, this was 2018-19. They said, all these onifas, there's killing in London between our children. What's happening? As a rule, and because Ifa sees my heart, because I can only speak for myself, whenever we have done our Odunfa and we cast, it always comes up with the Etutu, Ebo for our children. When I say our children, my children is your children, my children is your children, and so forth. Because we are a mirror effect of each other. People are waiting. They're like, some temples will tell me that we've done Dafa, and we need to get Ebo done for our children so they'll stop killing each other. Nobody's donating. My sister, it is important that we use certain materials, which is not the show for now, but I really must say this because it's on my heart, that we need to use a general, so animal blood and certain things that have certain significance. However, if it also teaches us in many stanzas, if ẹ̀kọ àti omi tútù lohun tó ní láti fi rúbọ, ṣé Ifá gbọ́?
Can you translate
So
that?
if what you have is only cornmeal and water to offer your ebo, you cannot afford blood materials for the ebo in exchange of what is happening. Do it, and Ifa will receive it.
Because it passes your heart. And
yes, and people are always like, I'm waiting for this. This person is not doing this. Who, like, my father taught me something which I love him for. Who are you waiting for to be the change? You need to be the change you wish to see. And every single step you take is a step towards change.
Absolutely.
The society today, I have to look at myself and say, I am a part of it. What part am I playing? What am I doing to repair and to heal the earth?
Absolutely.
I'm not waiting for anybody else but myself.
You mentioned some. Thank you for that explanation, because it's very important about our children, and us being the mirror image of each other is so important that we are aware of that. We know that. So thank you so much for highlighting that. From what you said, I've also picked something, because I do know that there are people who are also watching with us, or who might be watching the show later on replay, who are not very clear, or who are a bit confused about when we say etutu or ebo, because of the way the brain has, we've been brainwashed to thinking if you do sacrifices or offer, appeasance, it's satanic, demonic, etc. Maybe if you break it down to everyday language, so people can understand that it's all to do with nature.
I won't even, like I said to you at the beginning of the show, and you know very much with me, I'm very anal when it comes to word. So I wouldn't even use the word appeasement, but I will use the word propitiation.
Right.
And I would employ people to look up the word, what is to propitiate? right? And then they would get the basis of it. So when you propitiate, so ebo is a propitiation, i.e., you have somebody is sick and you have to offer an ebo, which is the sacrifice. I don't even like that word.
Propitiation.
But the
Material.
exchange, the materials. And some people say to me, oh, do you have to kill animals? You have to this. What people have to realize that Ifa, indigenous faith of Africans, don't know our word. Isheshe, we don't force anything or it doesn't work. So when you are doing ebo as a babalawo or yanifa or whatever, that as a practitioner, that you don't force any animal into submission, if you like. So when a babalawo or yanifa is continuing an ebo, or they're conducting an ebo, over the time, based on the Ifa stanzas that are recited, the energy that is released, the portal that is open, you find that the animal comes in first and it's like, as a normal animal, being grunty. And as over time, the animal, there are certain things that are spoken that the animal itself, spirit, understands. And it decides to submit its spirit in exchange for the sick person, for example.
For the human person.
By force. Yeah. We don't take anything by force, because anything that you take by force, if it allows us to know, doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So okay, that is the actual process of it. But what exactly is the art of etutu or ebo?
Okay, so the art of
why is it necessary?
For me, this is just my own explanation. And please, my elders, my brothers, my sisters, everybody bear with me if you feel that my analogy is wrong. But like I said, this is my opinion, my analogy based on being an Ifa practitioner.
And your studies.
Yes, and my studies is that when you're doing ebo and etutu, it is an exchange. Ebo is the key. So, for example, I've used the example of someone being ill. So the exchange for that person's life. So if it says, okay, you do a dafa, you see iku, which is death. So the ifa kun ayewo. So if a doesn't come in the automatic affirmative in a dafa, for example, and if it says it sees death on the person's head, but that death is then you have to open up that portal through the exchange of sacrifice or appeasement, I'll get the right word, or propitiation, to basically say the animal agrees in a way that I can't explain. People are like, how does animal agree? You would have to watch a full ebo to see how it's done from the beginning to the end to understand. So the animal then sacrifices or is ready to give its life in exchange for the person that's sick, because we don't believe, Ifa doesn't believe in human sacrifice. It's a taboo. So the blood of the
which is another subject we're going to touch.
Yes, a totally different subject. So they say so when we're doing ebo, it's just one simple line. It says, when the blood hits the ground, Mother Earth,
all the evil,
all the evils, all the negativity becomes tranquility.
Ashe.
So we're not just slaughtering animals because we hate animals or we're just some animal bashers or whatever. So it's important to understand that there is a science to that exchange.
And anyway, even when we look at the story of creation, I mean, both from our own Isheshe belief system and even from the other belief systems, the account is that Olodumare, the mighty creator and owner of all, put humans to subject all other things. And in other words, we are in charge. We are in control. Other things submit to us.
Exactly.
it doesn't mean that we do not respect nature or acknowledge nature, but it just shows that you cannot put animals above human beings, which some human beings have been doing, by the way.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
You
A
cannot
lot
put
of
an
human beings
animal.
have been doing, but we won't get into that on this show, Yami.
Yes, because animals might have their own language, but they do not speak like us.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference. They might have their own brains, they do not think like us.
I mean, animals have their totem, and
Yes,
animals are very relevant. They're very important. Ifa
yes,
also, in many stanzas, teaches us the need to take care of animals.
animals, absolutely.
And even so, you will have some Odufa that give birth to certain people that will tell them, don't go into looking after animals. So for us, Ifa Isheshe is an individualized process based on your Ori.
Your own chakra, your person,
Yes, yes,
your
yes.
being.
Your very inner destiny, your supreme being.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
I'm going to now flip the coin. I'm going to talk about one of your favorite orishas. Now, we spoke a bit about her a
Yes.
couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a follow-on, because you remember we said we'll speak more about this orisha.
Yes.
It's an orisha that I also have immense respect for as I begin to learn more and more about her.
Yeah, sure.
We're talking about the orisha Osho. Yeye Oshun, Oshengeshe Oloyanyan, Oluweri herself. Now, can you share more on who she is? Because you operate directly under her energy and you've had encounters with her and you know this Orisha so well. A lot of people just go about saying, oh, Oshun, some Hollywood people, some people in the music business, they just know a little bit about her and they kind of tout her, for want of a better word, as as maybe that they have
So
followers.
she
So
is
please,
my
so that
mother
we don't
in
get it
my
wrong, we
okay,
want to
she
hear
is my
from.
mother in my Orisha field, and she is also my mother in my Odufa, which I won't go into what my Odufa is today, but I will at some point before the show is over.
Okay,
Um
can you please give us a
so
little bit of her how would I put it? Which Esteifa, talks
don't
about
worry,
her.
I'm gonna give you a lot more than that. But first
Thank
and
you.
foremost, I dare not talk about my mother without saying this. Just bear with me 1 second. So I'm just drinking my water.
I'm doing the same.
Ore ye yo. Ore ye yo. Ore ye yo. Oh mio. Oh mio. Oh mio. Oh tao. Oh tao. Edo. 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 Ẹ bá mi kóre yèyé fọ̀ṣun abímọ má
Ore
dànù lé.
you.
Ore yèyé ọ̀ṣun ọ̀ṣun ọ̀ṣẹ̀ǹgẹ̀ṣẹ́ olórí ìyáàyùn arẹwà obìnrin ọ̀ṣun yèyé nímọ̀ awẹ́dẹ́wẹ́mọ́ ládékojú ẹbọra tí ń gbé nínú omi akúrẹrẹ bí ẹni sùn bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ò sùn lọ ìyá mi ò àbímọ má dànù lé ọlọ́jà gbọ̀rọ̀gbọ̀rọ̀ wọ́n ní adìẹ funfun làgbà ẹdìyẹ ìwọ làgbà adìyẹ funfun làgbà adìyẹ ìwọ làgbà ọ̀pọ̀ lóòjọ́ kọ̀ọ̀kan má mú o ọ̀pọ̀ lóòjọ́ kọ̀ọ̀kan má mú o ẹ bá mi kóre yèyé ọ̀ṣun àbímọ má dáná lé ìyá mi mò ń fèyí kí o àbímọ má dáná lé ọ̀ṣun mò ń fèyí kí o. I'm sorry, I mean, I could go on about Oshun for days, for months, for weeks,
I just
for
had
years.
goosebumps.
Ìyá mi ò.
Her energy
Ọ̀ṣun
is very infectious.
abiyamọ kìíní.
The
Òun
first.
ló nínú,
Hmm.
òun ló lòbò. Tó
Oh
bá
dear.
ṣòro fún yàn wá ní. Òbòlẹ̀gbọ́n láyé, òbòlẹ̀gbọ́n lọ́run, òbòlẹ̀gbọ́n nínú ọkọ àti òbò a ò mẹ̀gbọ́n, òbòlẹ̀gbọ́n láyé, òbòlẹ̀gbọ́n lọ́run, òbòlẹ̀gbọ́n.
Oh dear.
Wọ́n ní kí nìyà ń fowó ra, ẹ̀fún nìyà ń fowó ra, ẹ̀fún. Kí nìyà ń fowó ra o, ẹ̀fún nìyà ń fowó ra o, ẹ̀fún. Kí nìyà ń fowó ra o, ẹ̀fún nìyà ń fowó ra o, ẹ̀fún. Ìyá mi ore yèyé o, ọlá omi o, ìbà olómi tútù. Yèyé mi abiyamọ kìíní, abímọ má dáná lé, ọlọ́jà gbọ̀rọ̀gbọ̀rọ̀, agbèjọ́ ọmọ fẹ̀yìntì gbọ̀rọ̀gbọ̀rọ̀, ọmọ tó bá wọnú àgbàlá ìyá mi ogun tó bá ń lé bọ̀ṣán á lè dé. Ìyá ní ogun tó bá ń lé ọmọ òun kó ṣe kí ni kó bòun lẹ́sẹ̀ mu. Ọ̀ṣẹ̀ǹgẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ìyá mi o. And some people will say this is not true, but this is my own personal experience with Oshun. So none can discount it. I say Oshun is the Olori Iyami, a topic for another day. Our mothers of mystery. Torí ní pé àwọn Ọ̀ṣun nígbà tí àgàn ń dààmú ẹ̀, èyí ògbè ló là á lágàn tó fi bí ẹ̀rìndínlógún. It's a beautiful thing when you read texts, you learn, but you have a personal experience of the Orisha.
And relationship.
You have a personal relationship where you can go. For me, Oshun is a mother. Every part of her, every bosom of her is a mother. She is the first mother. So let's go quickly into Oshe Tura.
Okay.
Oshe Lotun, Otura Losi is the Odu. They say, Ojúmọ́ kan kò ní mọ́ kí babaláwo má pọ̀ṣẹ́ ìtura. Babaláwo tó bá rúbọ tí ò bá pọ̀ṣẹ́ ìtura, ẹbọ ò ní fín, ẹbọ ò ní dà. Oshe on the right, Otura on the left. There is no day that a babalawo will arise without chanting the Odu, Oshe, Otura. Whichever babalawo Yanifa offers an ebo, the sacrifice, the appeasement, whatever you want to call it, the propitiation, without, we have certain stanzas which I can't go into on here, that we basically cast when we're doing ebo. So we go through and we chant the odus and we inscribe it on the okmonfa, which again we'll talk about the divination tray at a different date. With the Yerosun, which is Ashobura Babalawo, the coverlet of a Babalawo. Again, why we call it that, we'll come on to it. You cannot ask for manifestation of what you are doing as a Babalawo or diviner without calling the Odu or She or Tura, because the Ebo will not manifest. So without me quoting stanzas or going too deep in, but so that everybody we're on the same page, we can understand. So in Osho Tura, Eledumare sent the Irumoles down to earth.
And for those who don't know who the Irumoles are, they are our own spirit beings.
Are the divinities that come on down. They are not their deities, but they're not born of a mother or father like you and I.
So they're spirit beings.
Orishas. Yeah, they're spirit beings. So they were sent down here to conduct a mission. And in that mission, the only female that Eledumare put in the midst of them was Oshun Oshengeshe Yami Oluwari Magboju. Awede Werishako to womo. Oh, wáyọ̀rìn kówó sí kó má ṣe wáyọ̀rìn kówó tiwa sí ìyá mi oníjígì ìyá mi oníjó. She was the only female. So they were given their various missions. And when they got on earth, They were doing their missions, and they decided to sideline Iyamio. Osho Oshengeshe. They didn't realize the power of a woman. And there's so many Odus that talk about power of women in terms of Odu, in terms of Oshun, in terms of Yemoja, but let's focus on Oshun today. And they were doing what they were doing. Osho came in, asked them certain questions in Oshetura. They were like, who is this woman that's just asking us things? We were getting on now. They now left her aside. Osho now got upset and moved from their midst. And from Oshetura, were made to understand that she returned back to her. Because she was the only woman that used Ewo, the chain, to come down from Orun to Aye. There's other Odufas that talk about her coming down as a bird, and different spectrum, coming down as water. But we try and deal with one part at a time. But Oshun, I'm not being biased, Yami. You have to have a part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of her. Because there's so many different Odus that speak about different aspects of her. So in this particular aspect of Osho Tura, Osho came down and, they sidelined her. They didn't count her importance. So she went back to him. She dried up everything. Now, honey, omi ò lápá, omi gbé mi lọ. Omi ò lẹ́sẹ̀, omi gbèyàn lọ o. Ìfòòró ayé mi ò, omi gbé lọ. Ìṣòro ayé mi ò, omi gbé lọ. Ore yéye ọ̀ṣun o. Ore yéye ìyá o. Ore yéye ọ̀ṣun o. Ore yéye ìyá o.
Can you translate that, please? They want to know the words
Water
of that.
does not have arms.
Water.
Yes, water does not have legs. But all the negativity of my life, all the things that cause me strife, water takes it and washes it away.
Because it's Oshun herself is water. Oshun is.
And we'll get into it. What people don't realize is that aside of Oshun being water as a symbolism, one small symbolism part of her, a big part, but a symbolism part of her, is that there is no Orisha or Rumole that doesn't have an element of water, but some more powerful than others. But we'll get into that. So,
and we also talk about, we know actually, about how important and versatile water is in all our lives. In fact, one of
if I tell you something today, you will never believe me. I was not home before the show, and obviously I knew, we're going to be doing the show as normal, and I sat on the bed where I was, and I'll send you the pictures because I always like to take pictures as evidence of everything. And water visited me. Iya visited me today, and she blessed me. And on the bed, you can see the droplets of water where there is no leakage. Where does it come from? The power of water can never be underestimated. There's certain parts of Ifa that we say, Emma yagbe safara, Emma tosinu omi o, inu afara ni iya wa o. Iya lives in the water. Do not defecate the water. Do not urinate in the water, because it is in the water that my mother resides. For me, being in Nigeria for so long, one of the things that I would say, my father used to say, all these Olorisha people, they'll say, Oshu is doing this, Oshu is doing that. But look at how they're keeping the gutter. People put rubbish in the gutter. When it rains, when water's there, it overflows. And then, you must respect. And I'll come on to that later on in the subject about how Osho, what she teaches us. And how it's impossible for us to live unless we're in reverse when we don't follow the elements. When we don't follow the rule of law of the universe, we work in reverse of ourselves.
Thank you. Now, apart from being an Orisha, one of the Orishas that has her energy linked with water,
yes,
which is a very powerful element, as we know.
Very, very powerful.
What
Nothing
other
exists without water.
Yes. What other elements or energies does Oshun operate within?
Okay. So for this one, you might see me looking down on the camera because, like I said, Iyami is so great with me that I even, normally when we're doing the show, I don't really make notes or anything like that. But I had to like really think about the question myself. So what I will say to you is that Oshun is vast in her elements. So Oshun rears conception of a
Which is
child.
fruitfulness,
Yeah. Fruitfulness, can you show you?
fertility.
So all the way into giving birth. And not just giving birth, but how you rear those children in the right way. Oshun has, and then people are like, Oshun is all about fertility. But what is fertility? For me, Oshun has showed me a different side of her. So even when a person has an idea, when they are creating, from the creation of an idea to the inception of the idea to the manifestation of the idea to the success of the idea is governed by Yami Oshun Shengeshe.
So so she's also
So
part of
she's birthing, but that
so
birthing is not necessarily just children.
children. So we're talking about inventions, innovations,
Exactly.
exceptional
Exactly.
creates. So intellectual property, really.
Yeah, that is Oshun. And
Yeah,
she does not take kindly to people. There's a song they say, Ọ̀ṣun ò fẹ́ wá kí wa o, ìyá mi ò fẹ́ wá kí wa o, alábòsí kì í relé Ọ̀ṣun o. Tẹ́ bá bẹ̀bẹ̀ bí ògbọ́n ẹ̀ kíyèsí wa yìí o. Ọ̀ṣun ò fẹ́ wá kí wa o. Ìyá mi ò fẹ́ wá kí wa o, alábòsí kì í relé Ọ̀ṣun.
And that means?
That means my mother doesn't tolerate bad behavior. A gossiper, a malice of a person that just creates malice, a person that is an elenini, causing havoc in other people's lives, cannot bravely enter my mother's house.
Oshun's house.
Yes, because an alabosi, a gossiper, a ruiner, a backstabber, all those things that are negative cannot enter my mother's house because she does not tolerate bad character. So the reason why I sang that song, it brings me on to the next part. Oshun governs good character. When you go before an Oshun shrine and you praise Iyami Oshun Oshengeshe Ladekoju Obratingbenomi, you come away with a tranquility, a peace, and understanding that you cannot necessarily put into words at that moment. But one thing it does, it rebalances your character, your behavior, your interaction with your fellow human beings, your interaction with the universe, your accountability to Mother Earth and the universe.
Awesome.
So, like I said, there's so many parts to Ya that even me myself, I had to make notes. Bear with me. You know, she talks about water propitiation, the importance of water, the importance, as I've said earlier, of not disrespecting water, of not disrespecting any of the elements. The importance, you know, when our Babanla Babawa Yala Yawa, our forefathers, they pray, our ancestors, they say, Ki ayemi ko mobi omi ajiko. Let my life be as clean as the water that is gotten at dawn. Because at dawn, the river settled.
Yes.
And in Oshun, we have a thing, a kind of etutu that we do as Oloshun, that we go to the river and we fetch omi ajikon, the very first water, without uttering a word to a human being. And that in itself is a key. It's a science. And we pray that as we find the river so clean that early morning, may our life be as calm, as tranquil, as clean, and all the array of that river.
Sure.
So, like I said, there's so much for me that I can speak about Iya. When I say Iya me, I mean Oshun.
Oshun.
Because that is who she is to me. You know, she teaches us to respect the environment. There's a lot of things that are happening in the world now. People are like, waters are swallowing people, is doing this, is doing that. When you act in the reverse, when you refuse to obey the laws, the universal laws, you get consumed by them.
Wow.
There is a need for us as Onisheshe to continually appease Iyami, to continually ask her Iya Ejebure Awolubebe, to not consume us, our children, because as human becoming, as I said, I don't say the word human being, human becoming, and on another show I'll explain that. We run short, and we must continue to appease, to propitiate, to propel.
And there was once you also shared with us that as amazing and as beautiful, as loving that the Yoshu can be, you don't want to see her other side.
You don't. There's
It must be a very very strict
mother.
mother.
She is. You know, in Odufa for Oshun, there are many Odus that basically for me speak about her. So we have Oshetura that I've spoken about. We have Iworitura, Okorutura, Oshebirete, and many more. And in each story, you see who she is. So there's a story in Odufa where Oshun went on a journey and she asked her student, somebody is coming to Gemini Bisi, somebody owes me something. They're going to bring the animal. When they come, take it for me. Store it for me. Keep it for me. I'll be back. Oshun didn't come back for many moons. And so when her student got it, she said, yo, why being pamio? I'm hungry. She now ate Oshun's bird.
Oh, wow.
And when she ate Oshun's bird, that night, without having reached home, she is the science of the science, the sacred science of the science. She reached out to the student and she said, where's
my property?
Where's my property? So the student was like, she was like, what happened? Where is what was brought to you? Because I saw it being brought. And the student said, and she said, you've eaten it and I can see it in your stomach. And I'm going to take it out of your stomach. Oshun loves. She is the epitome of love. But she is the wrath of war. She can also be the wrath of anger, with which she uses water to consume and other things. So, as much as, when you look online, you see so many things. Oshun's loving, she's fertile, she's honey, she's sweet.
She's
I pray for you
beautiful.
never see the other side of Oshun.
Show.
Oshun is beautiful. She is Arewa Obìnrin, none to be compared. There's so many aspects, and that's why I said you have to do a number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. A lot of people are like, Omo Oshunimi, Omo Oshunimi. They don't even
Hmm.
know which part of Oshun, because there's many
Hmm.
parts to her. And also with Oshun, you are Omo Oshun. Are you ready for Oshun's test?
Hmm.
Are you ready for what it takes to be Omo Oshun? Omo Oshun quite often have problems in marital relationship. Again, a topic for another day, because it has to be addressed on its own. A lot
Because
of people find
it
themselves in
was
a
the
situation.
men, it was the male Orishas that sidelined her. We remember
They
from the
did
story.
sideline her, but
So
what I'm
she
saying
doesn't
is
have a
with
lot of trust
Oshun,
for men then.
exactly. But a lot of the female Orishas don't. And in the different Odus, it teaches us why. But first and foremost, dealing with Oshun, Oshun had her trust betrayed most of the time by men. Number one. Number two, being an Oshun child, be careful to call yourself an Oshun child if you don't know that you are. Because Oshun comes with so many tests, the vast
Hmm.
of the universe. Oshun stayed where she was, and no place of a man's house indefinitely, but it took patience for each where she resided. So Oshun true children will find that when it comes to Ibujoko, marriage, relationship, they have issues. I'm talking about serious issues enough to drive a person and say, well, I'm packing my load and going home. But we must look at, what did Iyawa Oshun Oshengeshe, what did she do? And then we must emulate that, because we understand that we're Oshun's children. And when those problems come, we have to have an understanding that they are not caused by human becoming as us, but because of the fact, the very line of being an Oshun child.
Hmm.
You must undergo those things.
Hmm. Awesome.
So, like I said, there's so many parts to Oshun. Oshun governs for me. Her ide is it's a metal, but it's a conductor. It
You
transmits, it creates clairvoyancy, it provides balance, discipline, grounding, so many things.
usually wear one on your wrist.
Yes, it's there. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it gives you that grounding, that balance, understanding what is ide Oshun, the brass of Oshun. How do you use it as a conductor? How do you use it to balance yourself? How do you use it to raise yourself? How do you use it to be in the middle when you need to be? We don't just wear these things because they're pretty and we think, okay, let me wear it. See, yeah, me need it. Let me just put it on my wrist. There are sciences, sacred sciences of how you use these things. And
Awesome.
like I said, Ocean governs clairvoyancy. She governs clarity. She governs balance. She not only governs you being able to give birth to children, but how you raise those children in the right way. How you can assist your children to fulfill their destiny. When it comes to businesses, ideas, intellectual properties, Ocean governs it.
Wow,
So yeah.
there's quite a lot that Osho operates under, the various
Yeah.
energies. So when we talk, because Osho is one of the female, probably the leading female Orisha, and
Yes.
when we now talk about other female Orishas, we have Oba, we have
Mm-hmm.
Oya, we
Mm-hmm.
have Yemoja. You also mentioned Ushumari.
Yes.
Um, how are all these other female Orishas compared with, not that I want us to compare really, because there's no
Okay, so
comparison.
when we look at Yemoja, let me just deal with one aspect, because they all have to be given their individual
Roles.
respect, creed,
Okay.
and rules, and because they all come to teach us something. We are all different children of different Orishas and Irumolis for a reason, because to whom much is given, much is expected. We all have a different destiny, and so we must acknowledge them all as the mothers. And one thing that all the female Orishas did in Ifa is that they combined their womb. They
combine
combined their womb to give us the sacred energy that is impenetrable.
Wow. Can you break that down, please?
Okay, so for example, for me, just using myself as a human becoming in the diaspora, there was times when I had a lot of my Caribbean sister, and I'm not sure if she's on tonight, but Sister Cleopatra, I say Iba to you. We used to go into Shooters Hill, which is a heritage, park, and we would do a combining of our womb man under the moon, under the sacred moon, Oshokpakiri. And in doing so, by the time we did our ceremonies, there was a few of our sisters. A lot of the sisters were Caribbean, but we are all the original Africans. When we did the rituals, by the time we came out, what we wanted to happen had already manifested. And this is an example of the Irumoles, the Orishas, the deities, the female deities, of combining their womb. Because Oshun is very much the first womb owner. This is why I say, and I'll share on a different day, when she shared with me that she was Olori Yami, and a lot of papalas, Oshun has her own power, and what Yami has their own power. That's your own understanding of her. That is why spirituality is a personal experience. When you experience the Irumoles, the Orishas, the energy in a way, no one can come to you and say, Princess, what you are seeing, you are just seeing stars.
Because it's my experience.
Because you experience it. That's what makes it spirituality. It's individual. And you can re-manifest that time and time again to cause a whole shift in the universe, which none can stop and penetrate. So when we look at Oshun, as I explained before on previous shows, when she showed me one of her essence, which was the stomach area, the organs, it was like the volcano erupting. And it was also the map of the original Africa.
Oh, wow.
And it was pouring. And she was saying that in a conception, she could take out the whole universe. And or in a conception, if she chooses to, she can build the whole universe. So until we as women, when we relate back to the Orishas and the Irumoles, start to understand the power that we hold in our woman, the sacredness. There's that Oriki for Iyami, the mothers of mystery, that says, Agbenu Obo Pashe. Please help me with English, Iyami.
Oh, wow. How does one even translate that? This is an energy. So this is an energy for people who don't understand Yoruba. This is an energy that resides in the vagina.
Yes.
And from there, commands.
Yes, I shall.
Hope we are able to get that. So in other words, it's also even showing us how sacred our private parts are as women. Very sacred. Because whatever goes in, whatever comes out of that area.
The hymen of a woman and the vagina of a woman, or if you want to call it whichever one you want to use, if I were taught, is so sacred. It can build or destroy the universe. But a lot of women, we spend our time fighting each other. We spend our time pulling down each other because we don't understand the power we carry and the need to combine it to fix the earth.
If only we could unite, especially not only physically but spiritually, to have that alignment.
There are means that exist already for us to do that. We just have to look for it, ask for it, and it will be given to us. We have ways for that to happen. It's already happening. It's whether we are ready for the journey. And what we have to understand is when we combine the universe, our children, our trees, the earth, everything lives. When we fight against each other, everything withers away.
Everything withers away. Oh, wow.
Yes.
That is so powerful. Everything withers away.
Yes, it withers
away. So basically, there's also some energy in strife. Strife has its own energy.
Of course. A massive energy. And before I was, in terms of my reawakening, I always knew that I could speak to all the elements. I didn't know how I did it from a child. And they would respond. And I would always feel like, oh, I'm so weird. Like everybody, like I'm talking to people, they can't even understand what I'm saying. And I'm just so weird. How am I standing here talking to the moon? Like, are you cray-cray? Like, are you okay? Because in society, you're told when you do things like that, you are mental.
Absolutely.
But yet still, the colonial masters, they doted and they used this energy. But we were told when we use the very energy that we are the essence of, we're mad.
Or we are practicing something that is
we're fetish. We're doing
demonic,
something
satanic.
I like that word, fetish. It's so funny to me. You have to do a whole show on fetish. And on that day, I'm not going to talk. I want everybody to come and teach me what is fetish.
Because also, Yanifa, even when we look at the Western world, they have their own fetishes. They talk about the shoe fetish, this fetish.
They deal with the tree, the element of the tree. You have people that deal with Stonehenges, that they deal with the elements of the stone, the rock, the earth. You have Celtic within the Scottish tribe, that deal with not just trees, the waters, the elements, but yet still we're told we're mad and we just run and we're like, hey, it's fetish, or get thee behind me, devil.
Thank you. Before we wrap up, it's amazing how time just really flies, when we are on with you. I wanted to just read out a few things and also acknowledge some of our amazing brothers and sisters who are, on with us today. As I said, some of them we see, some are just quiet. The most of the people that join with us are quiet. They don't type anything, but I can see that they're on.
Sorry, I need to cut you. One person I would like to acknowledge, I don't know if he's online tonight, is Brother Olakunle, not Olakunle Olasoju, but our top fan, Brother Olakunle.
No, he's not here today. He hasn't been here.
But I would just like to acknowledge him. I hope that when he does go and watch the playback and understand that I miss him.
One of our favorite people, Obafe, came and she posted something. She thinks she has deleted it, but I can see it. She says, "Oh yes, we have our pussy power.
Yes,
we don't understand, do we?"
You know what? There's reggae songs, Yami, that talks about Nani power.
This is really interesting. Yes, I just love the fact that we can actually all speak, because that's one thing that I've learned with Ifa. There's nothing like a no-go area. You can speak your mind respectfully. You can ask questions, respectfully, because you will be given answers. And there's nothing like a taboo in that kind of way, in as much as whatever it is that we're bringing forward is with respect, because respect is reciprocal. And we're genuinely...
when you go to Jamaica in Clarendon, the women understand. I don't know about other parts of Jamaica. I know Clarendon and Manchester. I can only talk about places that I visited.
I know Manchester very well.
They understand in Clarendon the purpose of combining their womb chakra.
So, Osho dwells in the genitalia and gives orders. Oh, wow. One of our sisters also, I want to acknowledge her because I think maybe she joined us a bit late. I'm not too sure.
Who's that? Sorry.
I'm trying to find her name. Okay. She was talking about the animals when I think it was the time that you were talking about health. And she said even sometimes when we are in our homes and we keep pets, and sometimes your animal, maybe your dog or your cat, would actually exchange their lives for you in protection.
Yoruba people say, "Eyele kin bonile je, ko bonile mu, ko dojo iku, ko yeri."
That's
a
awesome.
Pigeon or dove never resides with his owner, eats with his owner, drinks with his owner, and then on the day of death avoids it.
Absolutely.
When you look at pigeons, they have accesses to fly away, and doves, but they always die with their owner.
That's true. Anemono Irewalide says she would like to learn a bit more about Yemoja, because you were going to talk about Yemoja, then you went into something else.
Yeah, so Yemoja is
people mix Yemoja up with Osho. I don't know why.
So Yemoja and Osho were sisters. Again,
really?
There are very many Odus. One of them tells us that it was the cause of the fight of a man that split them up. So, i.e., Yemoja decided to take the sea, and Osho decided to take the sweet rivers. So again, we'll do that on another day. But yeah.
So Yemoja, she's in charge of the sea. When we say the sea, are we talking about oceans?
Again, oceans. Because again, lagoons are a bit different. So I had to think about that for a minute. But then for me, I challenge that belief. Because there are times when I find myself in a situation and I need to call on Osho, and I've gone to the sea and she appears. So I beg to differ that you can call either one of them from either ends. Wherever you find yourself, all water, bogomi.
Water, at the end of the day, water is the same, isn't it?
Exactly. So it's all about the energy, the intention, the focus, and so many things.
Oh, the lady says, Yemo, wife of Abatala, not Yemoja.
Okay, so Yemo is different. Yemo is the wife of Abatala, and when you go to Yewa North in Ogun State, there is the river of Yemo, which she does not play with people. Again, we'll come on to that.
Yemo does not play with people.
No, she doesn't.
I've never heard of Yemo before.
Yemo does not play with Odale. So when you go to Yemo North, which is in Abeokuta, I think I might have to actually do a documentary to actually visit the river. There are certain things that are taboos for her that you just don't do.
Okay.
So, like her river is known to swallow people up.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oops. If you go there and it's like going to an Ogun shrine for Yemo and Olobureton, you say false things and you know you're lying, she will swallow you up.
Oh wow.
So and the way it goes is almost as an element of Oya, because there's a whirlwind that just pulls you under. So I mean, as I said, I feel all these female deities somehow, somewhere, Eledumare will bless us, that we need to do the documentary and go to their respective places and sources to actually document about them properly, so that we can all learn properly. And Yemo is the wife of Obatala.
Is she the wife or one of the wives?
One of the wives, yeah. Well, all these Orisha, female Orishas and Irumoles, and the male ones, they have multiple. So let's not get into it. But anyway,
Because
so
I think even the female ones had multiple husbands.
of course now. Osho
Okay.
was also an ally to Shango, to Ogun, so Orisha Oko
Do we
had
have
Oya,
anything called
as well as
Ali?
Oya was with Shango. So
Do we have
it was
anything called Ali in Yoruba belief system?
You said Ayi or Ali?
Ali.
Ali. Of course, we have Ali. No, not in the Yoruba belief system. In the Yoruba language. Again, this week, before I came on this show, I've been talking about the word Yoruba. Are we really Yoruba, and where does it come from? I think that's another show you have to do.
We're actually, it's just like the acronym IFA, because it doesn't exist in our indigenous language.
It does not.
It doesn't really mean anything in our indigenous language.
Well, it means something, and in a way, it can be a bit of a bastardized word.
Because now that it's called, indigenous faith of Africa, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Since they couldn't find any word to translate to.
But we're going to why they chose to use that as well. Because it was also about them trying to take ownership, which they couldn't do.
But you can't take ownership of something you are not an expert
okay, so
on.
Recently, have you heard the word that there was a Welsh or some kind of company that had basically registered intellectual property, the word Yoruba, and was claiming to use it when it didn't belong to them, and they were just a white Caucasian people.
Yes, absolutely.
So you can't use it, but people still try it. That's why we're in this position we are. We need to stand tall, hold hands, combine wombs, combine our energies, and rise tall and claim who we are.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I think what I would also maybe suggest, with your kind permission, is maybe for next week's show, maybe everybody should go back to their homework and come back with what they can research. What is Yoruba?
Okay, perfect.
What exactly is Yoruba? Where did the word come from?
Good. I think it's good.
What are we really known as?
In Nigeria, I think it's so important.
Because we are called Omokoto Ojire, we're called Omodua, we're Okaro Ojire, Omoluabi. So where this word Yoruba came from?
Exactly, but the word Yoruba is not even Yoruba; it's Yoruba. But anyway, we'll get into it next week. Let everybody do their homework.
We can do that as a homework. Our dear brother says from Trinidad, he says, this is so informative. Durante, Jennifer would like to know where you're from.
I want to know where
area are you from on the island in Trinidad? Okay, I was looking for our dear sister Omotoke Olagbaju. She says, what does this mean? That is your homework, Sister Olagbaju. That is your homework. That is my homework. We all must go to find out, do our research.
It's like the word Nigeria. It was
Niger area.
Lord Lugard.
Lord Lugard's fiance at the time. Lord Lugard's fiance. In fact, I actually did further studies, and I then found out it wasn't even Lady Shaw who became Lord Lugard's wife. She wasn't even the one that came up with the word Niger area. She found it because she was a journalist.
And it wasn't even Niger area, it was Nigger area.
Nigger area. She found it in some of the archives of the Daily Times. During that time that she was doing her research and she was writing her report and annals. So she quotes them. So she quotes where she got it from. So a lot of Nigerians have given it to her, acknowledging her as the person, but apparently that is not even. It had actually been in use, Nigger area, before she was born. Because when she quoted them,
the thing is that Iyami, unless we recognize who we are and we return back to our sources, unfortunately, we just finished the Odunfa for Ekiti and Ilefe. Yes. And may the ire of the Odufas be the ones that will be with us. But in Ofun Gondo, Ofun Wori, Ifa says that there will be a division in this nigger area. And the
seas, I said that a long time ago.
The rivers will be full of blood. And what we have to do is to do constant iwuri and appeasement. There is a war already on ground in Nigeria. A lot of people are acting like nothing's happening, other things, but don't want to get political. But what I want to say is that there is a need for us to understand that we have to take action. Cut it, reverse it now. As long as every word resonant sound, it's like when our children are taught phonetics in school. Every sound resounding word means a thing. Every sound that is released into the universe opens a different key and portal. We need to take ownership.
Every sound.
Yes.
Because I remember in maybe our second or third episode, you spoke about the power of the sound that we emit. Yes. In other words, when we speak words, they come out as sound. And all the time, a bit of spit, a bit of saliva comes out. We might not see it with the naked eye. And you said that saliva is the ashe, because once it hits...
It's the ashe, because it goes... So when the spit comes out, the saliva, it hits the earth, and it goes... And
when the saliva comes out, it never returns to the mouth. It hits the atmosphere, and the universe gives it power to manifest.
Yes.
And therefore, we need to come to terms and fully understand the power that we have when we speak, when we utter words. And and goes back to what you were telling us at Osho, and also what we have in Ifa as, one of our first commands, good character. Because if we have good character, if we are of good character, we will be watchful of what we say and how we see things. And in other words, we will think before we make utterance. That is it something that is fair?
Is it necessary? Is it wise?
Is it good to all concerned? Will it bring about a better quality of life for all? And these are all the things that we have in our belief system. I don't know at what point that we lost it. We lost those things. Those things are there. We are the ones that walked away from, the essence that we have. Thank you so much. Durante says that he's from San Fernando.
Okay,
San Fernando. Okay. Thank you, Durante.
Thank you very much for that. I'll be coming to Trinidad.
We're definitely
my next year. So
we're definitely coming.
To meet up with you. We'll be there. I'm dragging Princess along, whether she likes it.
And by the way, Lord Durante cooks like a dream. So he's an excellent. When I say excellent, he's an excellent stylist and fashion designer. I've not met anybody like him.
I'm like this.
I kid you not. I've not met anybody like him.
It's fine. I'm going out there.
He's very humble. I think because it's his gift, he just does it anyway. Just makes these beautiful.
Be honest with you, Iyami, for the last 5 years, I've been looking for somebody that can just be my personal stylist, because I have a certain look and way and my brand that I want to convey to the world, and it's important. So
I guess Durant is your man. Also, he's as good a chef as he is a stylist and designer.
I don't eat much, but when I get good food, I must talk in there.
Same here,
I'm sorry, my brother.
He said he's from the south. So south of San Fernando.
You're in trouble, my brother.
Why? I wonder why Sister Omotoka is laughing. She goes, LOL. Okay. I don't know.
He's in trouble now.
But on a serious note, Durante is saying, because I'm trying to read everybody's comments, he's saying, I so would like to learn this way of life. I think it is so important. And you will, my brother. You will. Trust me.
We have a temple in Arima. So at the moment I've been trying to bring it down to like Shaguanas. So you know, like I have a couple of Omo hours. So if sis also, if Iyami has your contact
Oh
details,
yes,
I will
he's my.
link you into the
I
temple
have
back
his. I
there.
have his phone number and everything. He's my
Okay,
great
so
great
that's
brother.
perfect. So
You know,
you know, we'll speak. We'll definitely speak.
absolutely.
Mm.
I think Durante and I have known each other for like 15 years now, if not more.
Oh, brilliant. That's perfect.
Okay, he wants to know whether you have a page that he can follow. Yes, I'm sure our
Okay, so I
we'll,
have
we'll
a
put
couple of pages. I have
we'll put it on the
yeah, so okay, so yeah, we'll put it
we'll
on
put it on
on
now
my
so that you can see Yanifa's
yes, sure.
pages and you can follow
Yeah.
her.
Okay.
Obafe Kemi, you keep deleting what you're writing. She goes,
Oh, Buffett, you kept
she
me,
goes,
my fine
nigger
sis. What
area.
happened
Now,
exactly?
wow. Well, that is the way it is. Sister Motoke says, I
Oh,
want that
Buffett, you kept me.
power.
Just say what it is you want to say, or we're waiting. Oh.
Okay, Durante, you can see now we put it there for you. You can follow Honorable Yanifa Bola on Yanifa the Icon. She also has another one as well. Oh, and then Monoyori Walide says, I want to come to Trinidad too. Don't worry. I think what we'll do is
Come along, we'll take you
we'll
all.
do
We're
a
going to London
getaway.
to Trinidad.
I think we can do you know, just like a trip for all of us to
That would be
go,
great. I
you
think
know,
that would be great.
and I think so. Obafemi, don't worry, you will meet Durante. He's an amazing man.
Why are you so jealous? You, this girl. What is Shelle Gogo?
Thank you so much, everybody. Before we wrap up, if there's any other questions, before we wrap up for the day, I just want to say thank you for all that have been on live with us. Our top fan, of course, Sister Omolara, always there. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
Sister
for
Molara.
always being there. Thank you, Oluwa. Thank you, Sister Motoke.
Oluwa Sakuola,
Um,
thank
my
you.
beloved cousin Obafe Kemi, thank you very much. Thank you, Brother Durante. So good to have you with us. I'm very
Thank you,
glad that you found
everybody.
it
Thank you.
worthwhile. And yes, as I said, once we finish the series, Yanifa and I are going to put together our master classes so people can actually learn at their own
Sure.
pace, you know, what they need to learn. Our dear sister, Anemunu Ire Walide, I'm sure you know the meaning of your name, Ire Walide. Goodness always comes into your abode, and so shall it be. I want to say big thank you. Is there anything you want to leave us with before we
Yes.
do our Iwuri?
I want to sing a song.
Okay, over to you, ma'am.
Oshole tente, oshole tente, oshole tente, nisholo shogbo, oshogbo rosi oe. Nisholo shogbo, nisholo shogbo, nisholo shogbo, nisholo shogbo. Nìṣọ́lá ṣògbó ṣògbòrò tí ó nìṣọ́lá ṣògbó kò ní dá ṣe mọ́ 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 ètò mi yìí o kò ní dá ṣe mọ́. Just before we go on, Iyami, I just want to remind everybody, thank you for always joining, for your loyalty, for your support, because as I'm teaching, I'm learning from you, I'm learning from Iyami, I'm learning from everybody. If I do at Temple UK, sorry, NEPA just did their thing, so now I'm in the dark.
But we can hear you. No, you're not in the dark. You're not in the dark.
No, well, we're not in the dark, but you know, I'm in the illumination. Let me put it that way.
Absolutely.
So, Ifadiwara Temple UK will be celebrating its 11th Oshun Oshegeshe
Festival.
Oshogbo festival this year in August. The kind of finale will be on the 13th. You can contact Iyami
Yes,
for
I'll
more
give everybody the
information, and you
information.
can also contact the temple. So we look forward to receiving you all. Let us come together, propitiate Yami Oshonshengeshe together. May she accept all our iwures and
Ashe,
everything that we ask for, and the ones that we don't want, may she give to us.
Ashe,
May all ire be with us. So
Ashe,
yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Ashe. So August 13th, but
Yeah,
the build up towards it, I'll continue to let once our flyers are out, I'll put
yeah,
them, on social media, and I'll continue to let people know. Also, what we can do is you can also inbox me on Messenger in either as Morade Wadido Sholari or Royal Highness Princess Morade Wadido Sholari, or in my Princess of Arize or the New Pan African Movement, anywhere that you are feeling to contact me with your phone numbers, because what I'm trying to also do is to start creating email lists so that we can have everybody on
yeah.
board, and so that you can all know and have relevant information for all the things that we'll be putting in place very shortly. We're thanking you once again. Thank you so much for joining. We hope we've been able to learn a few things today to do with our Yoruba belief system. And you'll agree with me that it is indeed a journey to understanding. As my late
It is.
father would say, he'll say, small girl, in life, you learn something new at every
I
turn.
absolutely love him. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you're back.
absolutely love Baba.
Our iconic prince. He'll say, you learn something new at every turn, which is true.
Ashe.
And he said, in life, we continue to learn until we exit this particular experience. As
Ashe.
we all
And
know,
Ifa says the same.
yes.
So
Oh,
they
my
are
father was
of all
obviously
the
repeating
wisdom.
what he knows from Ifa. As a prince, born in a
Yeah.
palace, they were brought up, knowing about Ishese, even though my
They
grandfather
must. They must.
was the one that
Isheshe Lagba.
embraced the Europeans when they brought the Methodist Church to our region during his reign. But for a man who became a king at age 29, I believe was very brilliant. And he knew exactly what he was doing. And he ensured that all his children, male and female, were very well grounded in the Sheshe,
Wow.
our traditional way of
Age
life.
29. Yeah, we
Yes,
must do like I feel, and sorry to put this on you on the show, but that's what it is, a belief in an understanding into our belief system. I feel that even in terms of your lineage and certain obas that became obas at such young age, we should do a documentary and a whole thing about their lives, because that
absolutely.
information must never be allowed to die. I want more. I want more. Our people
Absolutely.
all need to get this information, and we then will understand where we all connect.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting. Thank you so much. I've had that, so I've been writing a few things. There are also some things I got from my dad, from my father's, notes and books. My father wrote books that I'm yet to
Wow.
publish. So there's about two or
Wow.
three books.
Please make sure
Um,
I get them first, though.
so it will be wonderful, because people need to know, so that people have a deeper understanding of, our monarchs, what they represented, how royalty is viewed in the Yoruba nation and Africa generally. And I believe that, once we have that better understanding, we'll be able to own who we are better, own, what we have, and not just
But we
chuck
can
it
only
away.
own it, yeah, I mean, like you always say, when we understand and overstand ourselves. If we don't understand ourselves, we can't own anything.
Absolutely. So we're so grateful for your coming again to share with us, as you always do. Thank you so much indeed. I want to thank
Thank you all
everybody
for
that's been
joining.
on the show. You're all amazing. And I'm so happy that, we had such a jolly, wonderful show today, welcoming all our new people. This happens every Thursday, as you know, at 8 o'clock. Even though we say 8 o'clock, we try to get everybody ready, but we usually start around 8:30, so that we get people, either you've gone to work or you want to make a meal for the family. So by 8:30, everybody's good to go. Thank you
Yes.
indeed. Our Iwure, over to you, ma, to give us our goal.
Elédùmarè ó ṣeun. Elédùmarè ìbà ẹni mo ṣe. Akọ́dá mo ṣe bá ẹ. Aṣẹ̀dá mo ṣe bá ẹ. Mo ṣe bá ọkùnrin, mo ṣe bá obìnrin, mo ṣe bá èṣù ọláàlú, mo ṣe bá Afá Olókun Asọ̀dayọ̀, mo ṣe bá gbogbo yín pátápátá, mo ṣe bá ìyá wa, ọba obìnrin, Princess Moradehun Ṣọ́láàrin, mo ṣe bá yín. Mo ṣe bá bàbá yín, mo ṣe bá yèyé yín, mo ṣe bá bàbá mi, mo ṣe bá yèyé mi, mo ṣe bá Oṣó, mo ṣe bá ìjẹ́. Mo wá tún padà sọ́dọ̀ Elédùmarè wípé a dá ọjọ́, ọjọ́ kò. A dá ọjọ́, àsìkò ẹnikẹ́ni. A dá ọjọ́, àrógun gbàmígbàmí. Elédùmarè Ifá ò ṣeun ṣeun. Ẹ̀yin Gbagbarúmọlẹ̀ ṣeun. Àwa tá a wá ní ọ̀sẹ̀ yìí, àwa náà ni ká wá ká tún wá lé Dubai lọ lọ́sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀. Ká túbọ̀ máa kọ́ra wa ní ìmọ̀ àtòye. Ọpọlọ wa kó má ṣe dàrú. Gborogolódé ayé kó má ṣe lù fún wa jó. Kó túbà kó túṣẹ fún wa. Gbogbo àwọn ènìyàn tí wọ́n ń gbọ́ wa pátápátá báyìí, kẹ́nikẹ́ni má ṣe wọlé ya wèrè. Gborogolódé ayé kó má ṣe lù fẹ́nikẹ́ni jó. Wọn ò ní fẹ́ gbà fún kankan ní wa lóúnjẹ. Àní rógun gbàmígbàmí lórí ara wa. Ifá ní tá a bá jí lówùúrọ̀, tá a jí ní kùtùkùtù ènì, ó ní wípé ọgbọ́n ni ká máa kọ́ra wa. Ká má jí lówùúrọ̀ ká máa pilẹ̀ wèrè. Ifá má ṣe jẹ́ àpilẹ̀ wèrè. Jẹ́ kọ́gbọ́n kó bá wa dúró. Jẹ́ kọ́gbọ́n kó bá wa lólé ayé. Jẹ́ kó túbà kó túṣẹ fún wa. Má ṣe jẹ́ àṣìṣe o. Má ṣe jẹ́ àbáláyé fọwọ́ tì. Mo wá sọ nínú odù Ifá méjèèjì tí wọ́n dá káàkiri àgbáyé. Inú òfun Gando, which is òfun Wòrì, àti ọ̀ṣẹ́ ọ̀kànràn, ọ̀ṣẹ́ kọ́nàkọ́nà tẹ́lẹ̀. Káyé wa kó má ṣe bàjẹ́. Kó túbà kó túṣẹ fún wa. Ká má ṣe báláyé fọwọ́ tì. Ifá má ṣe jẹ́ kí ẹ̀jẹ̀ wa kó kúnnú omi. Ọ̀nà tí a gbé gbà tí a fi borí ogun, tí a fi ṣẹ́gun, tí a fi wà nírọ̀rùn tọmọtọmọ, Ifá wa gbé kò wá. Gbogbo ẹbọ tí a bá ń rú, gbogbo ètùtù tí a bá ń ṣe nínú odù méjèèjì, Ifá jẹ́ kẹ́bọ wa kó fín, kẹ́bọ wa kó rù. Kẹ́bọ wa báyìí kó dájú lé ọ̀run. Má ṣe jẹ́ àṣìṣe, má ṣe jẹ́ àbáláyé fọwọ́ tì. Má ṣe jẹ́ àkábàámọ̀ o. Torí wọ́n ní àbámọ̀ Ifá iwájú ló máa ń fi sí. Èèyàn kì í ní Ifá kó rojú, èèyàn kì í ní Ifá káyé kó bàjẹ́. Má ṣe jẹ́ káyé wa kó bàjẹ́. Àwa la wá ṣe ọ̀sẹ̀ yìí. Àwa ṣe lójú ara wa, ṣùgbọ́n wo Elédùmarè la kọ́ ni mọ̀ ṣe. Ifá la wí mọ lọ́gbọ́n ọmọ. Ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀, ìwọ náà tó kọ́ wa mọ̀ ṣe lénìí náà ni kó wá kọ́ wa mọ̀ ṣe lọ́sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀. Má ṣe jẹ́ arógun bànújẹ́. Mi ò lè ṣe ṣó náà. Ìṣe ni iná jó mi. Má ṣe jó ṣẹlẹ̀ sí kankan náà. Ọ̀ṣẹ́ ọ̀kànràn ní ká ṣọ́ra fún náà. Má ṣe jẹ́ kí dúkìá wa kó di eérú. Má ṣe jẹ́ kí iná kó kánjó lé wa. Òfun Wòrì, òfun Gando, ó ní wípé ẹ̀jẹ̀ á kúnnú omi. Má ṣe jẹ́ kó fẹ́ jẹ wa wẹlẹ̀ tọmọtọmọ. Ọ̀nà àbáyọ nínú Ifá, nínú ètùtù, nínú re gbogbo Ifá wa kọ́ wa mọ̀ ṣe. Ẹgbẹ́ ọ̀gá ògo á pọ̀ nílẹ̀ bí erùpẹ̀ èní lọ́sẹ̀ yín. Ẹ wá jẹ́ ká rówó ná, ẹ jẹ́ ká rọ́lá lò. Torí pé tí èèyàn bá tún ní ajé, àwọn èèyàn sọ pé kí ni ìyá Ifá tún sọ? Tí èèyàn bá ní ajé lálẹ́ jagun o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Ẹgbẹ́ á pọ̀ nílẹ̀ bí erùpẹ̀. Má ṣe jẹ́ àtọrọ jẹ. Múso, èrè o, akíkà, aṣẹ́gi, ajójójó, ayọ̀yọ̀yọ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ kó túbà kó túṣẹ fún wa o. Gbogbo tá a bá ti mú wá fún yín báyìí, má ṣe jẹ́ àtọrọ jẹ, ẹ má ṣe jẹ́ àtọrọ mu. Ẹgbẹ́ alára agbó. Mo mọ̀ pé ọ̀tọ̀ ni ṣó tá à ń ṣe léni o, ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n ní ọmọ ẹlẹ́gbẹ́ ni mí o. Ọmọ ẹlẹ́gbẹ́ ni mí o. Èmi ò ròyìn lálẹ́ àná. Ọmọ ló mú mi ṣe, ọmọ ló mú mi ṣe o. Ọmọ ló mú mi ṣe o. Èmi ò ròyìn lálẹ́ àná. Ọmọ ló mú mi ṣe o. Ẹ bá ń dààmú so fẹ́gbẹ́ mi ò mú so. Ẹ bá ń dààmú so fẹ́gbẹ́ mi ò ẹ̀mí ọ̀gá ògo apọ̀ nílẹ̀ bí erùpẹ̀ kó gbé gbogbo wa. Wọ́n lẹ́ni tí ò lẹ́gbẹ́ ọ̀run kò lè lẹ́gbẹ́ láyé, ẹni tí ò lẹ́gbẹ́ láyé kò lè lẹ́gbẹ́ lọ́run. Bọ̀rọ̀ kí ní ọ̀run, ẹ má ṣe jẹ́ atẹ́, tẹ̀tẹ̀ ìtẹ́ lóde, ẹ jẹ́ kó tùbà kó túṣẹ fún wa.
Welcome. Again, I'm sorry, I just want you to just abbreviate it for our viewers who they're totally lost.
I'm so sorry, guys. You know what? Sometimes I don't even know where I start from, but I was doing the Ure to say that you guys, we all come together every week. As we come together this week, let us come together next week with peace. Let us not come together with sorrow. Let us not regret because it is a union. Let us not regret our union together of learning, of growing, of awakening, of evolving. And then I was praying to what is known as Egbe, which I'm sure that Iyami will do a show all on Egbe. Yeah. So Egbe is our heavenly mates. As you come to this earth and you have families, your mother, your father, your siblings, we also have heavenly mates. And it is said in Odufa that those who don't have heavenly mates cannot have earthly mates. And they are the heavenly mates that guide us, stay with us, support us, and guide us in all Ire. And we call them in Yoruba, those that are scattered many numerously on the ground.
Like sand.
Like the sand. You know, that is uncountable. So may our Egbe continue to protect, guide us all, support us, and be with us.
Thank you so much. So to sign off again, I'll just do my little song, which I love to sing. I know Yanita loves it.
I love it. I can't sing it like you, but I'm here.
Ire, ire, ire. Ẹyẹ ire, ẹyẹ olùgbàlà, òjíṣẹ́ Olódùmarè. Ẹyẹ olóhùn méjì tíbi tire ló ń ké. Orí mi ò gbà bọ̀dé, ire ni mo yàn. Jíṣẹ́ owó, òjíṣẹ́ ọmọ. Jíṣẹ́ ajé, òjíṣẹ́ aya. Jíṣẹ́ ilé, òjíṣẹ́ ọkọ. Mo gbọ́ o, ire ni mo kàn o. Mo ti gbóhùn ẹlẹ́dàá mi tó gbére kò mí o lọ́nà. Lọ́nà àjò ní ire, níbi iṣẹ́ òòjọ́ wa ire. Àní dandan ẹlẹ́dàá wa kó gbére kò wá o lọ́nà. When I wake up in the morning, I hear the sound of the birds chirping, singing. And what they're saying is goodness, goodness, and more goodness. May goodness be our portion. May goodness be what will happen to our fathers, our mothers, husbands, wives, our children, ourselves, our homes, and our businesses.
Our grandchildren.
All that we'll hear all the days of our lives is nothing but goodness, goodness, and more goodness. And so shall it be by the special grace of Olodumare, the creator and owner of all. Thank you so much, everybody. Yami, God bless you, ma'am. Thank you indeed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dear Olabisi, our amazing technical guru, and our darling young man, Isaiah. Thank you. And everybody here, from the north, south, east, west. I wish us all goodness. Have a restful night. Till same time next week, Thursday, on Arize Conversations, where we continue to open the portals of knowledge as we learn more about the Yoruba belief system, a journey to understanding. Take care of yourselves and each other as we continue to arise as agents of positive change. Hear you.